Namaste Pune. How are you all? So it's a pleasure to welcome you all for a new episode of Ideal to Pune, Ideals of Pune. And today we have someone very, very special. Why she's special? Because she makes female beautiful. हम किसी भी जब फीमेल को देखते हैं तो what is our first impression? Is the skin, is the hair, isn't it? And that really makes a woman very outstanding. और आज जो हमारे साथ में है वो इसमें स्पेशलिस्ट है और इनकी यही चीज इन्हें औरों से थोड़ा डिफरेंट बनाती है. So let's welcome Dr. Priya Parekh to our show. Hello, Dr. Priya.
Hello, namaskar, everybody. Good evening.
Yes, it's pleasure to have you on the platform. And viewers, let me tell you what Priya Parekh does. Those who don't know, वैसे आप सभी जानते हैं ये करते क्या है. Dr. Priya Parekh is a founder of Beauty Aesthetic, skin and hair clinic located at Prabhat Road. She has experience of 13 years. So ये छोटी मोटी बात नहीं है. Skin और hair को लेके 13 years का experience होना. A key expertise is anti-aging treatment. I am sure women of my age will always want to look, young. So she's the right person for us. So after the session, get in touch with her. Okay. Her different beauty things: skin lightening, anti-pigmentation treatment, hair fall and growth treatment, and so many things she does it. And the best part is she's also the founder of Me Too We Mission, where she talks about gender equality. So let's know more about him and about her journey. So Dr. Priya, once again, we welcome you on VNWC platform. And thanks to our president, Bobby Karnani. She's the one, our backbone who motivates us to do so many good things. So we welcome you all on behalf of VNWC team.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Dr. Priya, while looking at you, at your glowing skin, इसका राज जानना चाहूंगी. I know you are a doctor, but आपके दिमाग में ये skin doctor का या hair treatment का ख्याल आया कैसे कि हमें ये करना चाहिए?
To be honest, I'll be very frank with you. When I did my MBBS, there were no thoughts and no plans to do skin practice at all. But post my pregnancy, I personally went through a lot of hardships with regards to my skin and hair. And that is when I realized that in spite of having so many things available, people still are unaware of about it. As in, ऐसा है कि सब कुछ है लेकिन हमें पता नहीं है. We are unable to reach towards it. जैसे कि हमको science has everything, but हम उन तक पहुंच नहीं सकते. And that is when I decided that नहीं, I have to get to people, and that is why Beauty Aesthetics was formed. And हालांकि मैंने ब्यूटी एस्थेटिक्स काफी लेट शुरू किया. इट इज आफ्टर माय एमबीबीएस 2 years. I was in Mumbai and I realized after my daughter's birth कि नहीं, मुझे skin और hair में करना है. And then beauty aesthetics was actually formed. So it was pretty late for me, frank.
But it is good to know that, after your child, you have started something. क्योंकि जनरली क्या होता है कि बच्चों के पहले करियर काफी वंडरफुल सा बढ़िया बढ़िया सा होता है, पर बच्चे हो जाते हैं तो हमारा करियर साइडलाइन हो जाता है. बट आप ऐसे हो जिसने बच्चे के साथ में कुछ शुरू किया है. सो हेड्स ऑफ टू यू.
Yes, I think I would be that one person जिसने बच्चा होने के बाद शुरू किया कुछ, बच्चा होने के पहले नहीं किया.
So यही तो सबसे आपकी यूनिक खास बात है कि आपने एक ऐसे चीज को हाथ लगाया है जो हर फीमेल की कमजोरी होती है, जिसकी वजह से वो अपने आप को बेटर, जिसकी वजह से वो खुद को खुश महसूस करवाती है. बिकॉज स्किन अच्छी है यानी कि आप अच्छे दिख रहे हैं, बाल अच्छे हैं, तो वो तो आपका गहना ही है. बिकॉज वी ऑल आर फीमेल्स. सो यू हैव बीन थ्रू सो मच ऑफ थिंग्स, आफ्टर द प्रेगनेंसी. So you formed Beauty Aesthetics. So ये journey आप with कैसी रही till now, because you said 13 years. So over a period of time, your journey with Beauty Aesthetics कैसी रही? Because India में beauty को लेके अभी भी इतना awareness नहीं.
Yes.
For them, beauty is parlor. What I understand.
Yes. Yes, definitely. So in the beginning, it was very hard to convince people that beauty can be medicine, beauty can be science. But as on today, after so many years, I am touch wood very lucky to have people who trust me that I can make their skin and hair scientifically good. It was definitely not an easy journey, but because of the confidence of my patients on me, I can definitely say that today beauty aesthetics stands tall and confident because of the trust of their patients.
वाह. सो उन पेशेंट्स को पेशेंटली ट्रीट करने के लिए आप में कितना पेशेंस रहा होगा, ये मैं समझ सकती हूँ.
Yes, surely.
क्योंकि because skin and hair don't show the result immediately, they take their own time to show the
Yes,
results, and one needs to be very patient and to answer the, because when they come to doctor they expect to have magic like Aladdin का चिराग, right? अभी मेडिसिन दिया तो अभी मेरा एक्ने चला जाएगा, मेरा पिगमेंटेशन चेंज हो जाएगा, you know, they expect that way. So how do you handle that?
so, according to me, a practice in skin and hair is all about counseling. So, मेरे practice में in my clinics, I have a lot of time spent with them on a dialogue where I have a one-to-one rapport with them. I understand their need. It's all about how much they trust me with their real requirements. It's like कि आपको exactly चाहिए क्या. At times you come with certain things in your mind, and then when we start discussing, पता चलता है कि मन में कुछ और ही था. So the
So true.
counseling is the most important thing. So you won't believe it. A lot of times females come with a very basic thing के मेरे को skin lightening चाहिए. We have this lot of taboo in our country with dark skin. And then it's a deep root cause of कि मेरी शादी नहीं हो रही थी उस वक्त मुझे वो इतना किसी ने they had those bullying or some kind of marriage issues वो एक deep rooted cause था, and that just continued to give them a low confidence even throughout their life. So when we start talking and counseling, that is how I start treating patients. So honestly, my practice is not only about aesthetics, it's also about really treating their minds also.
Wow. So you just don't work on this face, you work on mind also so that you get the proper results, right?
Yes,
So that they are
yes,
convinced enough to have patience.
definitely. That is the most important thing because कैसे है ना कि I cannot change an apple into an orange.
So true.
So I
So
need
true.
their confidence on the mind level as well as the body level.
So true, so true. Because apple needs to understand its beauty and orange needs to understand its beauty. Both cannot become, they cannot exchange themselves. You know, in this journey that you have done all together, the industry has changed, you know, has changed so much. So what new perspective do you see in skin and hair industry today? And when you started back 13 years back?
So honestly, 13 years back, it was more about something like ठीक है मुझे स्किन में कुछ करना है या फिर मुझे अच्छा दिखना है, but today it is more about confidence level. When someone comes to me, it is about how I present myself in front of people or how I present in front of the mirror. So there are people who are in the age group of 25 to 35 who come to me saying that, doctor, when I look into the mirror, I should look confident. And that is what has drastically changed in this last 13 years. Now people want to look good for themselves and not just for others. This has been an extremely positive change in last 13 years. Gone are those days where, people wanted to look good for others. Now they want to look good for themselves. So it's a
Wow.
beautiful change according to me. And trust me, Romaji, this is not only for females. I like to correct you. It is also for males. I get a lot of male patients
Oh,
also. And hence,
lovely.
I always say that beauty is not gender specific. It is for it's a quite a gender neutral it has to be a gender neutral thing nowadays, because men also want to feel good, they also want to feel confident. And why not? Because
Absolutely.
who would not like to feel good, right?
Absolutely agree with you. So, when you look at generally, men are supposed to be tall, dark, and handsome, and they're not supposed to do anything because this is what the notation has been. And you always dreamt of, you'll be married to a tall, dark, and handsome. Though in our country, dark is not supposed to be so good when it comes to females, but you want males to be dark. This is the three things when we talk about. So, over a period of time, do you think that these things have changed in a society altogether, wherein male and female? So, beauty is not just related to female, but looking good, feeling good is the concept of both the genders.
Definitely, it has changed drastically over the last decade, that beauty is no more gender specific. Darkness, definitely, I still feel it's a country-wise taboo, that why we are so obsessed with color. I have no clue, but we are still obsessed with color. And I think that tall, dark, handsome was a thing of past. And nowadays, it's more about presentable, and how you present yourself to the other gender, rather than what
Absolutely.
color you are, what color you are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is the reason I have seen so many pageants in the pageant industry growing drastically in this in past 5 years, not over a decade, but in this past 5 years, the pageant industry has grown in many folds, in
Yes.
multi-folds, right? Somewhere or the other, that may be one of the reasons that people want to look confident, people want to look good, they want to look confident, and the industry of skin and hair plays a very vital role there.
Yes, so Romalji, in Pune at least, I felt that pageant industry was like a bucket list for many females. It was like कि एक बार मेरे को वो stage पे चलना है, and that somewhere got people into that thing कि यार मेरे को तो confidence चाहिए वहाँ पे चलने के लिए. And I was very happy with that part, because that got a lot of females out, and got a lot of different side of them, and it was a very happy side of them. That was extremely happy side of them.
Having this happy side or understanding what a female is. So, pageantry, do you really think it is just good looks and good walks, or it is beyond that? Because when you talk about pageantry, it has a lot of things to say. So, what is that according to you as a doctor?
Honestly, pageantry has two aspects. One is the happy side, where people are just covering their bucket list. But there is the other side, which is on the serious part, where someone wants to really achieve something. And that is where, you really want to. There are certain people I know who have achieved on certain platforms, certain movies, certain music videos, and certain career aspects. So that is a different side of the part. But I was very happy that people achieved their happy side as well for the maximum females. There were certain people who achieved the serious side of it also. But overall, it was a positive change in Pune at least.
So that's really nice. And now in lockdown also I've seen so many online pageants. So how did your industry go? Because यहाँ पे तो टच करना मना था, यहाँ पे तो बोलते ना टच करने की पाबंदी थी. तो फिर पेशेंट्स कैसे देखे आपने ये लॉकडाउन, ये कोविड सिचुएशन आपने हैंडल कैसे की?
So again, the same thing, because of the trust Beauty Aesthetics has with its patients. We were not closed even for one day. We had all our
Right.
patients coming regularly from last April till date.
Wow.
We did not have any problems with that part.
Wow. But
We,
I also wanted to know one thing that, you being beauty aesthetic, it works with you. But when I talk about the whole industry, do you think this pandemic has impacted that?
I think COVID has impacted every industry. It would be wrong to say that certain industry has not impacted and certain industry has boomed. It will, and it has impacted all industries, and probably another 1 year will go in it. But important
Mhm.
part is we have to sustain, we have to, stay there, hang on, and hold hands of each other, and let's work together.
That's absolutely true. When somebody comes to you, because I'm a not very fair. I'm British in color. So I used to think when I was in my teens that I'm a British color. Who will marry me first? That too I used to wear a specs. So I was very bindas कि मेरी शादी इतने जल्दी नहीं होगी. And when the day happened, when my would be, who's my husband now, would be husband came to see me, I was selecting and I asked, तुमने कैसे क्या British color को choose कर लिया? Then that time that statement changed my whole concept. He said, I've never looked upon to you as a color, but I looked upon to you as a person. And according to me, that means a lot. So from that day, my concept of beauty changed. So it is not the
Exactly.
color, it is the person that
I'm
you
happy.
are.
So I'm happy that your husband is an empowered man over there.
Thank you. And with this regards, that learning has been happening. When people wants to know more about you, we would like to know from you that you have one more mission with you of equality gender, that is me to be mission, right? What is it that you do there, and what is it exactly?
So, Me to We Mission 2034 is all about gender equality and men empowerment. I strongly believe that we have been raising our daughters in an empowering way for last few decades. There are multiple campaigns where we are empowering women, and somewhere I feel that the other gender is lacking in this empowerment. We cannot empower just one gender and leave the other gender behind. It is like they say, it is like they say कि both genders वो बाइसिकल के दो पहिए होते हैं. अगर एक
Hmm.
पहिए को आप ट्रक का पहिया बना दोगे और एक को बाइसिकल का ही पहिया लगा दोगे, तो it is not going to balance. They have
Absolutely.
to they have to go hand in hand. एंड हेंस आई पर्सनली फील कि अगर आधी दुनिया वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट के लिए काम कर रही है, तो आधी दुनिया थोड़ा सा मेन एम्पावरमेंट के लिए भी काम करे. आई डोंट मीन टू से बाय मेन एम्पावरमेंट कि उनको ताकत दिलानी. No, that is not what I mean. I mean that they should be self-sufficient in the form of their emotional requirement. I believe, and it's a scientific fact that most of the men cannot express their emotions. They are not taught how to even cry, for that matter.
That is
they
true.
are
That is true.
they are raised
I
in
mean,
such a
if they
serious
cry, they have been
parental
said, "Are you a
environment.
female?" No, if they cry,
Yeah,
they have been said, "लड़की है."
please
So
continue.
very, very, so sorry. Even if they cry, they have been said that तुम लड़की हो. So there
Exactly.
is that. Yes, emotionally they are very different, raised differently from us. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but this difference is man-made, to be honest. God has not made this difference. It's a human being, and crying is a human emotion. So when someone is stunted in their emotions, it will come out in some other way. And that is what I believe, that in spite of that fact that a girl is raised in a very empowered way, if her better half is not empowered, उसके empowerment का कोई फायदा ही नहीं होगा. Then unless and until both the genders or both the better halves are not empowered in an equal way, the environment is
Hmm.
not going to be balanced.
Absolutely. Agree with this fact that both the parties needs to be balanced, needs to have that respect for each other. How do you do that in this mission need to be? What exactly you do?
So we have a 10-point agenda. Obviously, because of COVID, again, we have not been able to really get the entire agenda done. But we are hopeful that in next few years we'll try and do it. Wherein simple things like no stereotyping of any kind of chores. So, for example, simple things like cooking cannot be gender specific, or crying does not mean weakness, you know, or simple
Absolutely.
things like, expressing emotions is not a sign of any kind of
Hmm.
human weakness. It is not gender specific. Marriage is something which is equals. Now, this is something which is actually very commonsensical, but somehow we have forgotten, we have not given importance to it. And I think in a patriarchal society like ours, if the man of the family is going to take all the decisions, why not empower him so that he takes empowered decisions?
So true. So true. Absolutely. So the thought process that you have put into is such a lovely thought that kids needs to, the coming generation needs to understand that, and the present generation needs to acknowledge that they have to develop that, and the right thing needs to be transmitted in the coming generation. Very, very lovely
Yes.
thought and very empowered thought, to be very honest on. I really like the concept of me to be. And on this note, I would like if you can give the message to our viewers who are watching you, and the message from their personal perspective and from their professional perspective too.
I believe in one thing simple, that, change is something which should be the constant in life. You have to evolve constantly. You cannot stay there, otherwise, you will get stagnant. And stagnancy
Yes.
leads to stinginess. So, constantly evolve, constantly change.
What a lovely message, viewers. Constantly change and constantly evolve. And I'm sure this pandemic have taught us this very nicely. That you need to
Definitely.
change the every pattern of that you are living with, whether it is your eating pattern, lifestyle pattern, or your working pattern, or relationship pattern. It has to be changed. This pandemic has taught you in its own way. The nature has taught you in a way. So what Dr. Priya Parik says is absolutely correct, that you need to constantly change and constantly evolve in your personal and professional life, because when you are stagnant, you stink. So better not to stink, it's better to evolve. Right, Dr. Priya?
Yes, absolutely.
On this note, thank you, viewers, for joining in, being a part of this lovely journey where we got inspired by Dr. Priya's thought process, the way she thinks, her perspective. She has been an innovator, a perspective changer over a period of time with regards to skin, beauty, and definitely the way we think towards ourselves. बिकॉज किसी की सोच यदि आप बदल सकते हैं तो डेफिनेटली उसके लाइफ में आप बहुत बड़ा चेंज कर सकते हैं. दैट इज वाई डॉक्टर प्रिया इज द आइडल ऑफ पुणे who has created that difference in the mind of people. Thank you, Dr. Priya, for being a part of our show, giving your valuable time in this pandemic, जहाँ पे आपका भी schedule tight था और हमारे साथ में आके आपने इतनी सारी perspective वाली बात की जो हमारे viewers के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा enlightening, बहुत ज़्यादा बोलते हैं ना जो उनके लिए काफी ऐसी रही कि जो relatable हो, क्योंकि आपने ऐसी कोई भी बात नहीं की जिससे हम relate ना कर पाए. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being here on this show.
Thank you.
And viewers, stay tuned for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
So viewers, stay tuned for tomorrow, because for tomorrow we are going to have one more super guest with us who's going to talk about angelic cards and different readings. So if you want your reading to be done, log in at the same time with me, Romal, on Nanagan platform. Sorry, on VNWC platform. And thank you, Bobby, for this initiative of calling different wonderful people on this platform. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye bye.